It seems I might have got things just a little bit wrong about my newly acquired Porsche 914 Roadster. I have bought an abandoned 1970s Porsche. It's in quite a state.
Okay, it's worth...
That's not good. Oh my days. But since buying it, we have found out some amazing things about its previous life, which I want to share with you today. We are, of course, here at the Shmeemobile, but we are about to embark on a journey in my Ferrari 296 GTS to head up to Yorkshire Car Restoration, because Steve and Ryan have said two things. Firstly, that they'd like me to get involved in stripping some parts down later today, and secondly, that they'd like to try and fire it up. Hold it to the right?
Yep, just crank it so you're cranking it and then...
When we picked up my new purchase, the 914, which has always been a bit of an oddball Porsche, we loaded it onto a trailer, brought it back here, and it was sat on the trailer right here that we had rented from GT Towing. It's never been offloaded because we took it immediately up to Yorkshire Car Restoration before bringing back the seats, which are almost like a placeholder sitting here. It is, of course, left-hand drive because it is a car that has been imported from Canada. But there is a bit of that backstory I need to tell you today about where it actually came from, where it's been, and what work it had done to it previously in the United Kingdom that we're probably going to be doing all again. Those are probably the nicest part that has come out of my new Porsche, except I'm going to go and ruin them with the plans that we have ahead for reasons that will become clear down the line. However, without these, we wouldn't have solved this puzzle. Those were the clue, combined with a bit of digging online to figuring out the past of the car that I have bought. And it is a cool story. We were so excited. Now, this is, of course, a dream to undertake crazy projects, things like this, to have acquired the different cars that are here at the Shmeemobile, to have put this garage together. And talking dreams, you could win £100,000, £250,000, £500,000, or £1 million this month with BOTB. I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about that later on, but for now, we need to get ourselves ready. We've got a journey ahead in the Ferrari 296 GTS to make our way up to Yorkshire Car Restoration, and this is going to be a very unusual but intriguing day, so stick with me and let's see how it goes. I'm a little bit scruffy today with anticipation for what's coming later. However, even if I'm going to be working on the car, I will still wear a collared shirt. I'm probably the only person to do so working on a 914, but we'll see how it goes. And despite that, I will take one of my newest, cleanest, loveliest cars. Not necessarily a match made in heaven, but the 296 GTS, as many of you know, hasn't yet driven many miles. It arrived a lot earlier than planned, which is a big part of that. But I do have some plans ahead, and I need to have it run in, which means today we will get this car through its breaking in mileage, officially about 600 miles, 1,000 kilometers, and we will pass that on the odometer on the way today. It's a long journey up to Yorkshire Car Restoration, but first up is to get this unplugged as always and get ready for the drive ahead of us. You do get very used to doing all of this, obviously on any hybrid, whether it's the Ferraris or a Revuelto or obviously a more regular vehicle. You can plug it in and make the most of some electric power. So let me get this pulled forwards. We will get very quickly out onto the road because I want to bring you along today for the journey to Yorkshire Car Restoration to go and tell you a little bit more about this story, but also to see if we can get it running. I don't know if that's too wishful. We'll give it a go and see where we end up. I'm going to sound like a broken record here about two things. Firstly, the weather. We're in England. Obviously, it is raining. Not what you want when you're driving a 296 GTS, which is pretty close to delivery miles. And secondly, on that topic, the low mileage of this car. And a lot of people, I guess, not understanding why I bought it if I wasn't going to drive it. And I say I'm going to sound like a broken record because I have said this before, but basically this car turned up really early. It wasn't due until spring, when ideally the weather would be improving and we could go on some adventures and tours with the roof down. But given it turned up, well, almost 6 months earlier than I expected, as a result, basically I just didn't really have any plans for it, because I also had the Dark Horse that we toured across the United States for about 2 months in total, the Puro Sangue that we took on a tour all around Europe, and other things that I have planned coming right up with the GT Black series to go off as well. So add all of that together, and there wasn't really any intention to to do anything with this, which is partly why I'm actually taking it today, because I want to drive it. I want to spend more time with this thing. I mean, like right now we're in electric drive. The hybrid system is quite different to the SF90. It is like a new car learning from the beginning again, although you can of course operate it in the same way, go into performance, fires the engine in, and then it sounds amazing. For a V6, this thing sounds absolutely brilliant. It will about double its mileage today. It literally had 400 miles on the clock when we started. I thought it was a touch more. So it's a long outing. It's a good outing to do with it, to get it run in, because when I get back from my next trip away, I basically intend to hop straight into this and go and drive it. So I need it to be ready to rock and roll. I don't think we'll pass running in until we're on our way back, but it's still fun. I can't complain. Anyway, despite the weather here, it is supposed to be sunny at the other end. Oh, okay, that was dramatic. Puddle on the other side of the carriageway. There's been a lot of rain this morning. The roads all around my garage were flooded, which meant that we're actually quite far behind schedule because of having to take some very annoying, very awkward diversions and lots of 3-point turns in the middle of the road. But yeah, hopefully at the other end there's a 914 waiting to have some work done to it. Well, would you believe it? We're only a couple of hours north and the sun is now out. The sky is kind of pretending it's blue. I'm going to grab some sunglasses. And one of the reasons I can't wait to do a road trip with this car is that you've got quite a lot of luggage space in here. In fact, it makes it super easy for doing some mega journeys. So we're going to have some fun with it down the line. We have just grabbed ourselves some lunch from GR Eggs. Some of you will probably understand the GR Eggs reference, but it is time to continue onwards from here to Yorkshire Car Restoration. We've actually made up some good time, which is always nice. Let's just get back on the road. All right, back out onto the main road, which means plenty of noise. The V6, we're nearly run in now. That's all we can do for the time being. We're very nearly run in, 520 miles. When we are fully run in, we'll be able to have even more fun with it. We have made it past our exit, finally off the motorway and cruising. But what I want to do here is put this car into performance mode and race, pop the rear window down with the press of that button, and completely coincidentally, by the way, we actually just saw a Rosso Corsa 296 as well. So of all of the cars we could have seen while driving my 296 a very long way away from home, it is quite a coincidence to have actually seen another one. Anyway, let me go into manual because we are mere miles from being fully run in. Country lanes. This engine sounds amazing. They call it the Piccolo V12, the little V12, and that is because it makes such a cool sound. You just don't expect it from something like this. You expect only to have amazing sounds from 8 cylinders and up, but Ferrari nailed the V6 in this car. Calling it little V12 is fully deserved, and I can't wait very soon to get fully through the rev range. I mean, just now, that's about 4,000 RPM, and in third gear, it just sounds lovely. I suppose one of the funny things is to be bringing this car of all the cars to come to see the 914, because probably driving this car the 400 or so miles today that we're driving it actually depreciates it by as much as that 914 cost me, which is a really painful stat, as is all of the carbon fiber options. Carbon fiber options on this are probably like 2 or 3 times the 914, which is mind-boggling given how much fun this project is already turning out to be, especially with all of the things we've found out about it. Anyway, the guys are waiting. We are not too far to go. It has turned into a very lovely afternoon, or lunchtime kind of at the moment. And, well, this car is here to be enjoyed, isn't it? So let's have some fun. This is the craziest thing. How random is that?
It's one of the original ones.
Absolutely love it. Do you keep it in the car?
Yes.
Amazing. Awesome. Have a good one, guys. Enjoy. How crazy is that? Here we are then, back with the guys. We have made it. Nice. This is looking just a little bit different to before. We're going to have a full update with the guys in a moment to see what they might have found on it while they've been stripping it down. Project Patches, as it now says on the bonnet that has been removed. But I want to show you quickly one thing before we dive into this in full, which is what we've got here. Evidence of its former life in the form of some coins from Canada that they found inside the car, which will connect to the story I really want to dive into with this. And then I guess we're going to be coming back here, popping this open and seeing if we can get some life from that thing. a little bit later on. Yeah, wish us luck with this. I mentioned something big earlier, something far bigger than this from my friends at BOTB. Now, I have known the team over there for over a decade. Over the years, I have met many of the winners of the BOTB Dream Supercar competitions. But this month, February 2024, until the 29th of February, they have a competition unlike any other. There are 4 prizes: £100,000, £250,000, £500,000, or somebody could become the first BOTB millionaire, winning £1 million. I probably should have taken a seat for this one. It is big. Tickets start from 85 pence, and after the end of February, somebody is going to be surprised by my friend Christian Williams, who has won an unbelievable, life-changing prize. I will pop the information down below if you'd like to take a look into that in a bit more detail. But having met many of the winners over the years, this is big. This is the first BOTB millionaire opportunity, and I cannot wait to see if one of you guys is going to take home the lucky prize. For now, should we find out a little bit more about this? Gents, how's it going?
Not too bad, how are you?
Thank you.
I am quite excited to see this. This has changed loads since I was here before.
Yeah, so we spent the morning stripping the car. Now, as well as the back, we've stripped a lot of the things on the front, and we've also taken all the parts, all the spare parts and the parts from the car, and popped them on the floor here so you can see exactly what you've got. And as you can see, there's a lot of bags of bolts and bags of bits and just rubbers and everything.
Stuff everywhere. Christened patches, thanks to the rust that you found.
Yes, and you can also see a lot of rust inside here as well. So on this seam just over here, you can see that there's a lot of rust in there, and especially down here as well. And what actually happens is water gets trapped between the seams and it actually starts rusting, unfortunately.
So that's kind of all to be expected, really?
It is. The only way you can really combat that as well, you can't just clean it because it's inside those panel gaps. So what you have to do is you have to take those panels out, or part of those panels out, refabricate them and put them back in again.
Sounds easy.
No, not that easy.
So we've lost the bonnet, front, however you want to call it, pop-up headlights, all of the other things.
The motors have all gone. We're still stripping quite a lot down in here because we do have to get, I mean, this is it's either a lift pump or it's a filter, one of the two. I think it's just a filter, this one, which has been earthed. But we've basically got from here, and we're just slowly working his way back once we've got the rest of the outside panels off.
Ticking it all down, one thing at a time.
Yeah, we've also got it on jack stands, so we've taken the wheels off, we've got it on jack stands as well, so that's all sorted. And funnily enough, it's the same with the rear lights. Nothing has been connected up, so that's why the rear lights, well, if we would have put power to it, that's why the lights wouldn't have worked.
So all just kind of put in place?
It was kind of balanced together.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense, as I'm going to explain a bit with the story of this in a moment. It's basically probably been put back together for sale from a few different owners who have each wanted to work on it.
To make it look nicer just for the sale. Yeah.
That would kind of make sense. There wasn't much interior to begin with. There's even less now.
So the interior, it's quite a simple interior to be honest anyway. But yeah, as you can see, there's not much left of it. There's only the dashboard and the centre console and a bit of carpet, and that's it really.
That will come out in no time at all, because paint is an interesting one to talk about.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the paint so far?
Well, there's been a lot of preparation. There's quite a lot of things that have been done on this car that are correct, but quite a lot of things that have been done that are incorrect. I mean, the paintwork, it's obviously been off to a specialist somewhere and they've painted it correctly. But we have noticed on the front where the wing is, and quite a few areas, especially on the rubbers which are on the doors, that it hasn't been stripped down properly, so the preparation hasn't been there.
Yeah.
So I think somebody's prepped it for the painter who's done the correct job, then it's gone back to them. So it's kind of like a mishmash of fantastic work and not so fantastic work.
Yeah, and then everything that we still need to take off that's all a bit...
Yeah, I mean, obviously the trims, this panel, the engine panel, we need to take them off so we can get a little bit closer to the engine. But once all them have come off, including the door, we can then get to the engine and see what's happening inside there as well. Yeah. And then we'll travel through the bottom of the car and start taking all the undercarriage off as well.
Yeah, makes sense. There is a sea of parts here, isn't there?
Yeah, so this was all in the boot. So you've got a lot of rubbers, you've got an awful lot of bags of just bags of bolts and bags of parts and a lot of things that aren't really labelled up. We've also got some extras as well.
Spare lens cover.
Yep, spare lens covers and, you know, different lights and speakers and stuff like that. And obviously that has all come from this boot.
Oh, that actually looks superficially quite nice inside there.
I mean, it does, yeah. I mean, you can kind of see a difference between this paint and this paint here. So this is a lot lighter than what this is. So potentially this has been dolled up, let's say, to make it look nice.
So that's probably a little more like the original colour.
Yes.
Slightly lighter. Yeah. And then it's changed along the way.
It's been blown over, basically, to make it look a little bit prettier.
And unfortunately, you can see some rust starting in the seams here. So this looks like the original seam sealer.
Yeah.
You can see it up here as well. Now, this doesn't look original, this little patch repair here, and I'm not sure if that is original or not.
It's the same on both sides. Well, kind of the same. It's not quite the same.
Yeah.
It's been changed on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. Now, it is in fairly good condition. We removed the big sort of carpet that was in here, and we were pleasantly surprised to see how nice it is.
We were expecting worse. Definitely expecting worse. I mean, you can see, obviously, somebody's drifted over what is rust. So, again, it's been prettied up a little bit, but it's still not in bad shape.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
And the other thing is, on this, if I pull this down for a second, just giving it a little clean over, a wipe over. Yeah. It looks really nice.
It does. Fantastic.
It does look nice. Someone has taken care of it and, you know, put quite a lot of time into it. But unfortunately, rust gets the better of it. And you can see in the cinema arch as well.
Yeah,
we've got a huge hole that is in here.
Yeah. Don't know if we can see that right now, but that's why it's patches.
Yes,
that's it. It's made of patches.
So we're probably going to go ahead and continue stripping the car. So we've got the door to take off, we've got the boot to take off, and the engine bay panel.
Yeah.
And then a couple of other little bits and bobs, and then we may
should be able to. Yeah. So pop this open for 1 second. Yeah. Wait, if I grab that, you got it? Yeah. There we go, perfect.
And then we may be able to get some power to this. Now we've not tried anything yet. But one thing we have done is we've changed the oil just to make sure it's got good oil. So the oil level is good, but we need to probably hook some power up somewhere. Yeah. Oh, there's the other one, look. Yeah. We'll get some power hooked up and see if we can actually get some lights on the dash.
Yeah, what we need to do is we need to make sure that before we start taking everything apart and then reassemble it after we've rebuilt the car, putting the engine back in, we need to know at this point whether the engine's good.
Yeah.
So while everything's still connected and while all the ignition all the ignition system is all still in there, and all the spark plug leads and all the fuel lines, we're going to see if we can get anything, whether it's ignition, whether it's fuel, whether it's fuel pump, absolutely anything coming to that engine. Then we know that it's going to be either a good or a bad engine.
Well, it sounds fun to me. I'm intrigued to find out and intrigued to see what it looks like with even less on it in a matter of minutes, no doubt.
Hopefully. Yeah. Well, we're going to take this off, take this surround off, and take this door off, and then it's going to give us better access to the engine. We're going to trace everything there, make sure everything's all right, see if we can get any power, see if we can crank it, see what happens.
So if we just pop that up, we do have, or we should have, 2 bolts on either side. So we've got 2 here, and we should have, we've actually got 1 on that side.
Oh yeah, that's probably why it makes an unusual noise.
Beautiful. Right, so we'll start taking these out.
1 boot lid.
1 nice shiny boot lid. So here we've probably got, there's 2 bolts underneath here. So we've got 1 here and 1 just underneath your side. It's a little bit awkward.
Just a little bit. You have more practice than me at getting into fiddly angles and stuff.
Beautiful. There we go.
There we go. Indeed. You got it? There we go. Everything kind of needs to be kept together, figured out. Can see a bit more now.
Yeah, we've got a whole lot more access in there. And you can really see the size of the engine.
Tiny little thing. Very light little thing, this car.
Yes. Also, we can probably check the engine oil from here as well. There you go. Some nice fresh oil.
Cool.
The update that we're about to have with the engine in this is unreal. Don't go anywhere, but in the meantime, I'd like to tell you the story of my Porsche 914 that I actually got completely wrong What I know now is fascinating. The last few years of this car's life have unraveled in a way that you could only do in the modern era, thanks to social media here in the 2020s. And well, it's really quite cool to know a lot more than we did. And I should probably rewind back a bit. A few days ago, when I bought this car, we didn't know a whole lot. It was an exceptionally good price due to needing a lot of work, but came with one document, a certificate of authenticity dated from 2016 to its then owner, Trevor, in British Columbia, Canada, that effectively confirmed it was built to Canadian spec. It had the Canadian spec equipment, but outside of that, the obvious was that it had been imported to the United Kingdom. We thought it might have gone to the US in the meantime, but then basically due to the amount of work it needed, never really been properly registered or put back on the road because it's overwhelming. There was this hodgepodge of things that had been done. The paintwork had been done. There are various parts that have been refreshed. The seats have been completely retrimmed. There was a whole lot more. As we discovered coming here, the whole frame is a little bit bananaed, both over the top, but also kind of around as well. It hadn't been braced clearly when it was being welded and having some of the rust fixed, along with plenty more rust under the skin, which is why we're here to approach that. However, we have plans to completely refresh the car. We're talking colours and trims, not like a resto mod per se, but certainly modernise it, make it more unique, add a unique touch to it. But one of the things stood out when researching this. So my girlfriend Puppy150 was browsing through Instagram, looking at pictures of 914 resto mods, cars that had been restored, also singers and the likes, to get a feel for what we could do, particularly with the interior, when a picture popped up. A picture of some very recognisable 914 seats, the exact ones that had been supplied to me with this car, which could not be mistaken for any other. A change in materials, a change in the layout, finished by Ken's Customs using the very distinct material from Spirit of Le Mans. Now, not only that, but in the comments of that picture was a message from somebody, from Toby, saying that he could not wait to collect them. Of course, that meant there was a connection there. So I reached out to Toby to see what we could find out. And in the meantime, Puppy also found a post from Rally Prep in Cornwall from summer 2022 saying that this car was for sale. The owner was changing it for their dream opportunity for a 1950s American car that had come up, and that this was available. And there were pictures, and it was this car. Indisputably, it was exactly this car. At the same time, of course, Toby came back, and I can't thank him enough for filling in some of the gaps in this history because it's amazing. So let's rewind. It was imported to the UK from Canada by a chap called Ross, who runs Great Lake Classics now, although not at the time. During the time it was sailing over, when it was on the boat, Toby's dad, a friend of Ross, bought the car and then effectively took on the project. Over the coming years, there were these different things that were done. And in fact, it was actually completely sanded down and resprayed. So believing rust issues weren't really going to be a big problem at the time, the entire car was painted in this Alaskan blue metallic paintwork. Not only that, they did get it up and running. They got this car started a few years ago, believing that to be the first time in about 10 years that this 914 had fired up. After hearing it, and of course the excitement that came with that, they wanted to embark further on the project. Another opportunity came up, and of course they went down that path, having sold this in its place to, presumably, the owner that I then bought it from very recently. I believe he, in the meantime, went about trying a few other things, picking it apart, thinking what to do. I actually think he sold it almost immediately to someone else, but working on that and having a little bit of a play with the car, effectively realizing that there was a lot. This was going to need a whole lot of work, which is why it then got everything loosely put back together, but still needing a full and thorough go over, and I bought it. I bought, as we kind of called it, my financial disaster that needs a whole lot of work done to it. So we've gone to piecing together the last 4 or 5 owners of this car off the back of finding a single picture on the internet by complete coincidence when looking, well, not even looking for it. And that's the kind of story you can't write. You can't make that up. You can't think, can we find this before you buy it? Just by chance. And I really love it. So we think potentially at some point it did live in the United States. It might have been in Arizona, perhaps. That's a maybe vague thought about it, but it was certainly in British Columbia. It would be amazing to find out if we could figure out any of the other owners that have owned this specific car. It was this color from factory. It's matching numbers, chassis and engine. The color, more on that as well to come. But overall, it must have had a good life. It must have been in North America for 45 years before it's come over here. And I'd love to see if at some point we can figure out more about it. The 2-litre 914 with the 5-speed manual. So yeah, really, really exciting when we started piecing all of this together. Some very cool pictures of it from back at the time. And hey, maybe we find out even more in future as well. For now, we've got an engine to work on and some stripping to get done. Right, so we start down here. Easy. You just make a pile of these in here for the moment.
Yep.
How to disassemble a Porsche 914. That was quite loose. This was just gently pieced together.
Yes.
There we go. You got it?
Look at that.
Cool. Doorless. Like a throwback.
The unfortunate thing is, when it's been resprayed, they've sprayed over different bits of sealant as well. And you can see down here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Kind of just gone straight over it.
Yeah.
Which I guess at this point we kind of have to do again.
Yeah. I mean, this will be a full strip. Yeah. We'll make sure this car's right.
So does that come off?
Unfortunately, it doesn't. We've had a look at this. Now, it looks like it comes off because you've got the split down here.
Yeah.
But then you've got spot welds all the way down here.
Okay.
There's no bolts. The bolts are usually in this trough.
Right.
And yeah, it's welded onto the car.
Okay.
It'd be nice to get these off to have a look underneath.
Yeah.
And we can potentially take the spot welds out, but obviously, if we don't need to, then we don't. We shouldn't really.
This is all really nice, isn't it?
It's nice. It is
criminal
nice,
in a way.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's going to look even nicer when all's said and done.
What we need to do first
Yeah.
is see if we've got power.
Yeah, power to the car in any form. I wouldn't be surprised if it's all completely disconnected and...
It kind of looks complete. Oh, wait, okay.
We have some light. That's cool.
So we've got power to the dash. You can see 2 lights on the dashboard there. So that's a good thing. That means
And that's just the first stage.
we've actually got a circuit. So the next stage is actually trying to crank it.
Is there anything I can do wrong doing this?
Not really. If it makes a big clunky noise, stop cranking.
Stop. I'll take your instruction, right?
Definitely be ready to turn the key the opposite way.
Hold it to the right?
Yep, just crank it so you're cranking it and then...
That didn't sound bad.
Okay.
And that's with no fuel in it, so there must have been a little bit of residue for fuel in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop some fuel in the intake, and bear in mind it might pop, it might bang, it won't run very well, it'll run like a bag of spanners, basically because...
Someone just shaking a tool bag.
Because the injectors are actually here.
Yeah.
That's the electronic injectors. Basically what happens is your fuel pump produces pressure behind your system, and your injectors hold that back, and when it's pulsed it opens up your injectors to let fuel spray in. What we're not got at the moment is we haven't got that fuel pressure. So those injectors, whether they open or not, there's going to be nothing going in. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pour fuel in there, which is your intake system, and it's just going to kind of pull it in and dribble it in there, so you'll get... But that'll give us an indication of whether it's going to kind of run and what it kind of sounds like. This is just petrol. And all we're going to do is we're going to pop a little bit in there. Fire up, see if it's
Try
Give it a go.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be the fuel pump.
You're the fuel pump.
I'm the fuel pump. Yep, away you go.
Okay, ignition, and let's go.
we've run out.
It runs. We run out of fuel again.
How cool is
It
that?
actually runs.
It's cool.
The engine is alive.
That is a massive, massive, massive bit of good news.
I've just spotted something else. This is the fuel line. This is the main intake fuel line. That was poked in that hole. Tell you what, give me 5 minutes. Let me fill this up with fuel. Let me use this as a supply and see if we can get the engine running properly.
Wow! Nice one, guys.
There we go.
That sounds like a nice engine. It does. It's got a lot of air hoses, so it's not going to run
Yeah.
fantastically because it's got air hoses off. It's got an open intake system. A lot of the pipes aren't connected, but as a bare bones, and it sounds like the exhaust is disconnected somewhere. Whether it's the manifolds, I don't know. But bare bones, that sounds brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I am absolutely blown away by that.
Well,
That was
so-
really cool.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
That was really cool. Not like a little bit cool. And that was the fuel tank.
That was the fuel tank.
Wow. Love it, guys. Oh, that's absolutely made my day. I was excited to come and see where this was up to already. And now, like, I'm buzzing. Absolutely buzzing. Wow. It is update time. A bit of a clean-up to make this a touch more presentable. Amazing to see it like this. Of course, we started today with some carpets, with the whole central console in there, and obviously with quite a few other bits, which have in some way revealed a few little problems, a few more things that need to be sorted out, rust underneath the sealant down here, for example. But it's fascinating to see this progress. And now knowing a bit more of the story behind the car, I imagine prior to it being repainted in this color, I guess a couple of years ago, it must have been in a bit of a sorry state in terms of the paint as well. But what we really need to do is start from the beginning to straighten everything out, to fix up all the base, because if we're going to have any future problems with that, we're obviously going to be in a lot of trouble. And then once that is done and it's all the right shape and size, then it's going to be time to work to get all of this engine, interior, and everything else that goes with it all nice and pretty. For example, what we're going to do with the wheels, what we do with the lights. Do we cover up these, get rid of these, put a panel over there so that we no longer have the side lights, which you obviously didn't need for a European spec car. That was only for North America. That type of thing would all be quite nice to just generally tidy it up. But very, very exciting to see, and in some ways be a touch part of it, even if it's just the easy job of pulling a few things apart. I think it's been fun. It's just certainly much harder to put it all back together. And you know, small touches like this, to have some random coins that were found in it from Canada that I guess have traveled around and live with this car. We probably need to keep them in it and find a nice semi-permanent home for those. Just part of the car's history and story, but the fact that it fired up was really cool. I think this pretty much wraps us up for today. What a day it's been, and it's only going to get even cooler from here as this transformation is carried out with Stephen Ryan sharing all of the updates with you on Yorkshire Car Restoration. Do go give the guys a follow. This is going to go through the motions as they have with the other creator cars. I, for one, am going to be glued to the updates as this becomes a true Shmeemobile. There are going to be some events and things along the way. I'm shortly to be heading off, but I can't wait to come back and see what they have done with this. There's even more to go in terms of the stripping, which will be over on their channel as well. Do go and subscribe, follow everything they're up to. Plus, don't forget, one of you could become a millionaire with BOTB this month. Whether it's your dream restoration project, your dream supercar, your dream garage, it could be you who is winning their incredible prizes that are on offer for February 2024. The competition closes on the 29th of February, but the link is down below with all of the information on that. For us today, I think it's time to hop back into the 296 GTS, get it fully run in, ready for some fun ahead on that front too, before we're going to have some more updates with this over on Yorkshire Car Restoration very soon. That's it for now though. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and this update with the 914. I am super excited for this car. It is going to be mega. That's it though, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.